right now I'm joined by our guest, Mr. Dinkar Lanka, who is the leader from the BJP. I'm also joined by Mr. Khaleequr Rahman, who is the leader from the BRS. Well, good evening to both of you, and thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here. Let me first go across to Mr. Rahman. Mr. Rahman, what exactly is the stand that the BRS is taking on the delimitation issue? Is because, there is a section that feels that the delimitation exercise essentially to assure that there is equal representation being given to all people given their land and the space that they occupy as a state. Like Uttar Pradesh is a larger state. It has got a lot more population. So the people over there should be able to get a better representation rather than getting like around 12 lakh constituents in one particular constituency.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to my co-panelists and to all your viewers. Let me tell you, as far as the delimitation process is concerned, because the delimitation process is going to do discrimination and the gross injustice to the southern states. For the reason is because the delimitation is going to be done on the basis of the population. And if you go by the population, then the southern states, in fact, have done exceedingly well in controlling the population and performed very well on all fronts of the economy. Though the southern states contribute 18% of the total population, but we have been contributing more than about 35% to the GDP of the country. But whereas the northern states are concerned, for example, the UP, the Bihar, and the other states, they have not heeded to the central government guidelines of the population control, and their population have exceeded exceedingly without having any tab or any control on that. So if the delimitation happens, now the 80 seats of the present Lok Sabha of UP will go up to 143, and between the Bihar and the UP, they will go up to 222 seats. So don't you think? And moreover, because we live in a democracy, it is all the number games. And then the southern states will hardly have any say in the states, policies, I mean, in the country's policies. And if you are going to have the lesser numbers there, then we will lose the complete importance in a democracy. So it's all about, who is representing what percentage there. And if the central government goes by this measure, then definitely the South India will be at the very much disadvantageous position. So, we appeal, and we have already, extended an appeal to all the South Indian parties to rise above the political affiliations, come together and fight for a cause. And now I feel that since the central government has got the absolute majority there in the parliament, they can devise a new way of delimitation rather than going only by the population. So it is very important that the central government should not penalize the southern India for performing well on all fronts, and especially for contributing to the economy. And that should not be the criteria. So I hope that the central government will definitely, take this aspect into consideration and will not do any injustice. And especially, because see, if you go to Uttar Pradesh, if you go to Bihar, and if you go to the West Bengal, there the illiteracy rate is, at its maximum. There the employment is at its highest. But the population, has been growing. So if the population becomes only the criteria for delimitation, then definitely the South India is going to be at the very much disadvantageous position. Definitely the South India is going to be at the very much disadvantageous position.
But Mr. Rahman, ahead of 2024, when the opposition party is raising this entire bandwagon of delimitation, then of course questions are going to be asked, because this can only be carried out in 2026 or post that and after the census has been done. So the timing of this is also being questioned, that why has BRS decided to bring this up right now?
See, now what happened is, because after the parliament was inaugurated, so now there are about 888 seats in the parliament. So that parliament has been designed in order to accommodate the MPs after delimitation, that's the post-delimitation. And in 2026, because we are hardly about 3 years away from that now. And we have seen the numbers, how they have how they will be decreased if the country goes in for the delimitation. And the BJP, for its advantage, in 2026, they have already started planning. So keeping that in view, and now what they will do is, because they will play the South India and the North India card, because they know very well that they have lost the ground in the South India. So they want to divide. Now, earlier they were dividing the people on the basis of the religion. Now they will divide people based on the demography and the region.
But Mr. Rahman, there are also certain, governance-related benefits that may arise out of delimitation, where there can be like better governance for the electorates. They can address their grievances better. It's going to be a lot more localized in that sense. Don't you think that is also a benefit that should not be overlooked amidst this politics of North versus South?
It is not that we are trying to play that, actually, ma'am, because see, what is important now is, as you know, democracy. We are all living in a democracy, and India is the largest democracy. And in democracy, what matters is the numbers. The more the numbers you have, more the say you will have in everything. And now, even with the existing this thing, because how the central government is treating the southern states, especially where they don't have, their governments. For example, Telangana. Telangana has always been receiving the stepmotherly attitude from the central government. And imagine a scenario where the representation and the number of seats further go down. Then what will be the state? It is not. It will not be the injustice to any political party, but it will be injustice to the people's interest. So this is a political party, but it will be injustice to the people's interest. So this is what we have to fight for.
Well, let me take a question across to our fellow panelist over here, Mr. Dinakar Lanka, who is joining me on the phone line as the BJP leader. Mr. Lanka, we just heard what Mr. Rahman had to say. The southern states and the political parties from the south, they are well within their rights to say that their numbers are not going to change as far as the number of MPs are concerned if delimitation exercise is carried out in 2026, because they are being penalized for adhering to the guidelines of the central government of capping the population boom. And it's going to be the North Indian states that are going to be reaping the benefit of it. And